Good evening, everyone. How are you guys doing? It's Anna and a Money Date. It's Wednesday, and I'm excited to be here. Now, an interesting topic. I want you to think about how finances in 21st century are different, or should they be different than they used to be before? The world is changing. Should our finances be structured differently? So that's what I want to chat with you about today. As you're hopping on, I welcome you. Thanks for joining me. I love Wednesdays for lots of reasons. No, it's not a hump day. I don't care about that. I actually had 9 appointments today. So am I busy? Yes. I also had a dental appointment. So hopefully my my chicks are doing well. Hi, Kelly. Thanks for hopping on. I thought I'll do something different. Grab your favorite beverage and let's get to it. Now, we get together on Money Dates every Wednesday because our money deserves attention, right? And just like having fun and interesting time when you get together with somebody you love, why can't you give the same attention to your finances? That's where the idea of having these discussions was born. Now, I was struggling with it personally, so I wanted to do something for myself. And then once I got a system in place, I decided that I wanted to share it with you. Now, a couple things we do here on Money Date, and as you guys hopping on, let me know what you've been up to. Drop a comment in the chat. That way I know you're here. And yes, I welcome you. So what happens on the Money Dates? Now, there's one main reason why we actually do it once a week. And that is because we need to stay on track. We need to check in with ourselves, right? We need to understand and remind ourselves because our lives are so busy. And that's why I'm talking about how finances could be a little bit different or structured a little bit differently now that our lives are changing, right? It just kind of dawned on me to talk to you about this topic, even though I actually have a course and I wrote a couple of blogs on this actually probably a year and a half ago. Now, this is a year and a half later, and the idea is still the same. So the reason we check in with ourselves because we need to stay on track. And I'm trying to simplify. I'm trying to teach you a system where our life could be exciting. Our finances could be exciting, right? And we could be focusing on things that actually are pleasant for us. So 3 things we need to accomplish on the Money Date. We need to understand and know where we're spending our money, right? That's the very first thing. It's the simplest thing, and I talk about this with everyone, right? All of my clients have to do that, right? Once we get that out of control, and the reason to do this weekly is because it's easier. You can remember what did you spend your money on in the last 7 days. If you have a tracking tool such as Mint.com, that's even easier. If you use a credit card, if you use a checking account, that's easier too. I propose to have aggregation service types of apps, applications, or softwares where that can be done for you automatically. Hi, Deborah. Thanks for hopping on. Good to have you here. So first thing, we need to understand where we're spending our money and how are we staying on track with that. Number 2, income. I'm going to talk about this later today, but where is your income coming from? Do you know how much you actually are earning? Just because you get a $100,000 salary, and that's what you make a year, what do you actually have in the pocket at the end of the month, at the end of the week, or however often do you get paid? Do you know an answer to that question? Many people don't. So I challenge you to start thinking about it in those terms. And the very last point to make here, but it's not least, it's most important, is what are your savings goals? What are you saving and where? Identify those items for you and for yourself and start tracking them. It is not for me. I know what my goals are. I know where my spending is at, and I know what I make. Do you know what you make? Once you start having these simple things in place, everything else is going to fall into where it's supposed to be. Okay? So that's the reason for a Money Date. Now, there's a couple of other things that we discuss on a Money Date. First, I want to share with you my favorite quote. I always pull up quotes because they inspire me. I don't know how many a day I read, but I find something that, and I save a lot of them on my phone. And sometimes if I feel that I need to get a little bit of uplift or energy boost or whatever, right? I flip through my phone and the pictures and see what I've got. So my quote for today is, and I think it goes really well with our theme, right? The price of anything is the amount of life you're willing to exchange for it. I mean, this is so deep. When I've read it, it's by Henry Thoreau. I have to look up who this guy is. But it's like, it's about the actions you're going to take for anything you want in life, right? And so think about it. What is it that you're going to do if you want to achieve something? If you want to be better with your finances, what are you going to do? Are you going to show up here every Wednesday or not? But at least you're going to have systems and processes for yourself in place to make sure that you are staying on track. I question that. What are you going to do? It's the question I ask myself as well, right? In terms of the goals that I have. What's the price that I'm willing to pay? What is the amount of action I'm willing to put into if I really want something? It's it. There's not much to it. So I want you to think about that. Because what I'm about to discuss with you in terms of how our finances are different in the 21st century ties in really well to the amount of life we want to put into it if we want to do something different. I believe in that. If I want to achieve something different that I haven't had before, I have to take different steps. I have to take more action, because if I'm going to be doing the same thing that I've done before, I'm going to get the same results. So I challenge you to think about that. Now, something else, hi Kelly, thanks for hopping on. Something else to think about in terms of our finances. I talk about this a lot, and it's been quite transformational moment for me, or period of time for me, in terms of recognizing and being grateful for what is happening in your life, what has happened, and just pausing, right, and reflecting back on it. So I call that a money win. As you hopping on, drop us something in the chat. Let me know what your money win has been for the week. Now, those of you who are new and watching, money win is could be anything. I call it a money win because I believe that anything we do in life evolves around our finances, one way or the other, right? You can argue that it's not, but I think it is. You can't leave your house without needing money. You can't do anything. So reflect on that, right? And it could be something that you've done in terms of your spending. It could be something you've done in terms of your savings. So I've kind of personally moved above that, right? Because I've got that centered and under control. So what I try to think about now, my behaviors, right? My relationship with other people, with family members, with friends, with my colleagues, with my clients, right? Those are the things that I'm focusing my mind on and saying, what am I grateful for? So something that, and I think of it every day because I do daily gratitudes, 10 of them, right? In the evening, I sit down and I write, what am I grateful for the day? 10 things. I can come up with 5 really easily, but then I have to sit down and really reflect back on my day. Now, I guess my biggest money win for the week is about to happen. I'm heading out to Denver tomorrow for a conference, and this is, I'm a member of the Financial Planning Association. It's one of the biggest networking groups / associations for financial professionals. It's not just financial advisors, but it's all kinds of professionals, right? And so there is an annual training. I'm actually on the board of my local chapter, and I'm in charge of sponsorship. And so this is my first year, and it's exciting, but now that this conference is happening, and I'm excited to get together with all kinds of people from around the country, right, that are in the same profession, or not in profession, in the same field as I am, and just to get more training to see what they're doing, how are they servicing their clients, and how are they staying in touch with their colleagues. So that's my money win, right? When I joined the board, I had no expectation of being sent to a conference, right? All paid for and everything. So the only thing that I'm not quite excited about, hi Andre, thanks for hopping on, is that it's in Denver, and coming from California where it's much warmer, that's the only not so exciting part. Yuri, hi, thanks for hopping on. You guys, It's awesome. So, but I think we can get over that. 'Cause I'm probably going to be in the hotel for the next couple of days, so it doesn't really quite matter as far as what the weather is like. So now let's get into the actual topic, right? So, this idea about how our finances should be different in the world, in the current world, right, in the 21st century that we're in, kind of came to mind because, right, I've been waiting for the new iPhone, right, and so we finally, Yuri and I actually finally had time earlier this week, stop by the mall and take a look at it. And quite honestly, I didn't get it. I was a bit disappointed, right? But that's a story for another episode. Now, how that ties in, or this is an example of how we chase the latest technology, right? How we, the latest phones, the latest cars, right? And when it comes to our finances, we're still following sort of the same principles, right? In terms of going to work, having to save, and I'm not saying, right, and let me get into more details what I'm actually getting at here, but I'm not saying that those things are off. What I'm trying to point out that there are different ways, right? There are newer tricks, right, and hacks that we can all put in place so that the life that we live in currently can fit into that. So that's where the idea of like, why are we upgrading our technology? Why are we upgrading our cars and things like that? We're having our food delivered or groceries delivered, right? Things like that. Like we're getting Amazon boxes almost every day, right? Don't even have to go shopping. But why are we not doing these kinds of things in terms of our finances? And so that's where I'm coming from in terms of my theme. Now, I mentioned already I have developed a course on this idea, right? Because this didn't just happen overnight. This has been happening for quite some time. So I want to discuss with you 3 different hacks or tricks, however you want to call them, right? In terms of what you could do just slightly different and still have a successful, financial setup, right? So number 1, right, and this is kind of like the core principle, but I think it still applies, and I want you to be reminded of it because it ties in well to what I'm talking about here on these money dates with you every week, and that is to live beneath your means. Okay, think about that. And what it comes down to really is knowing what kind of lifestyle do you actually have. Right? So I'm not asking you to come up with the budget because that's not sexy. Most people hate that. I don't love it, and I'm a financial planner, right? And I work on these things all day long with clients, but it's not budgets that we're looking at. We're looking at lifestyles, we're looking at spending plans. Hi, Greg. Thanks for hopping on. Good to have you. So this concept of living beneath your means, because the next trick that I'm going to share with you builds up on the top of that. And if you can't master that, because what's going to happen for most people, right, as you progress in your careers, you grow your businesses, whatever it is, if you make more money, right, that's the bottom line, our lifestyle tends to change as the income increases, right? So I want you to have the understanding of what your core lifestyle is and stick to it, right? Because it's going to help you progress. Hi, Dwayne. Good to have you. About time. I couldn't start my show without you, my friend. Good to have you here, right? So how can you identify what your lifestyle is? And I have a course that I'm about to relaunch. It's called Money Flow System, right? This is what I'm talking about. And this is where the money date actually came out of that, right? Having a system where you can make sure that you paid your fixed expenses, make sure that you can track your variable expenses, and you're staying with that reach, right? And so all the income or extra income that you are making is going to keep you afloat. So give it a thought, figure out, sit down with your significant other or by yourself and start looking and understanding what kind of lifestyle you have, okay? That's the first step. Then we can talk about what does it mean, right, for you, particularly in your family, to live within your means, right? So it's an oldie, but it's goodie, right? Financial planners have been talking about this concept for years, but I think it's lightly understood. in terms of how you can actually apply it to yourself. So I figured it out, and that's what Yuri and I are practicing, right? So the next time you think about, and I'm not saying, okay, you can't buy that next car you want, or shoes, or whatever it is, right? Or take that next vacation. I'm not saying that. That's part of your lifestyle. But what you need to start understanding, and that's why I'm asking you to track, is where's your income coming from? What is it, right? If your salary is $100,000 a year, are you seeing that? Or is it all going to wherever and you don't even have an idea? So, but the idea behind that, and I hear this a lot, right? And even with my clients who earn a ton of money, right? You could be earning millions of dollars, and all that could be going to waste, right? If you're not tracking. But the sad statistics is that most Americans, about 76%, live paycheck to paycheck. And it's just wrong. It's not, in today's world, we can change that. And so my hack number 2 for you of how your finances can be structured in the 21st century is, and you guys heard this saying, is that cash is king, right? But I actually think that income is king, right? Because you can run out of cash, and it's good to have a lot of it, stack it. That's the idea. But if you can increase or create more income streams, that's where things actually start turning around for you. Now, the reason I'm talking about this particular item with you today is because earning income beyond your 9-to-5 job is practically no-brainer. All you have to do is you have to want to do it. You can go drive Uber in the evening. You don't have to stay at home and watch TV, right? Or perhaps you have a skill such as, I don't know, developing websites, right? Or translating, a couple of languages. You could do that, right? Like the other day I needed a new artwork for my Facebook or in all of my social media pages. So I went on Fiverr, and I think I paid like $45 or something, and that guy is gonna deliver this in the next week or so. So think about what are your skills, right? I know, and you might be thinking, this woman is crazy asking me to work more. Yes, I agree, but let me explain why. Because if you can get your basic living expenses, that with living within your means concept, covered with your 9-to-5 job, right? And where I'm getting is for you to think outside of your 9-to-5 box, or maybe you work 8 to 6 or whatever, right? I don't even know what time it is sometimes. I don't focus on it, but I've got the basic stuff covered, so that once you start earning beyond that, and that's the idea of creating the income, right? And I know you have talents, you just have to identify what they are. Then the next step in this equation, which makes a progressive difference, is when we get to savings. Because if you have extra income, that gets you a lot of flexibility. Maybe you are trying to get out of the job that you hate, but it's much more difficult to make that transition when you're relying on just one income stream, right? If it's your job or if it's your business, right, it's going to be much more difficult. But if you have other streams of income, maybe just small ones, because it takes some time. Right, Dwayne? Thank you. I know, good thinking on my part. But if it takes a couple of income streams for you to start seeing a difference, why can't you do it, right? Because the next hack that I want you to think about is something I call save to invest. Okay. Now I know that sometimes for some of you that savings idea is a little bit beyond, because you may be still focusing on making sure you can cover your basic expenses, and you just like say, well, there's just no money, right? It's like income coming in, expenses going out, I have zero left, or sometimes I even go into debt. That is why, right, my friends, why creating additional income streams is going to solve that problem for you. Because the next step is everything. So, and what I want you to understand too, the income that you're going to create from the additional side hustles, whatever it is, should be devoted not to spending, right? Give yourself a reward, but it should be dedicating to saving for investment. Hi, Melissa. Thanks for hopping on. So, Bitcoin. Okay, Dwayne, this is more of a investment question. Let me answer that at some other time, because that's going to deviate a little bit from the topic I'm discussing. So save to invest, right? Traditionally, in my profession as financial planners, we advocate for clients, save, right? The focus has always been saving. And that's a good mantra. I'm for that, right? Because in order to make big investments or substantial investments, you've got to have capital, right, to do that. That's why I want you to start earning that capital, right, in terms of additional income streams. So, but I want you to think about this, right? This is where that save to invest concept kind of jumps one step above, right? Because, you know, let's face it, for generations such as our grandparents and maybe even our parents, the idea of having an extra job outside of what they did, you know, 9 to 5 was almost impossible, right? They worked at one job, they probably got a pension, and they retired at 65, and that's it. They got their Social Security, and it was a happy life. Now, I want to tell you something, that's not what is going to happen for our generation, right? And the generation after us. The idea is that that kind of a safety net does not exist. So saving or accumulating enough capital and creating income streams is something that's going to give you that flexibility. So let me give you an example. Let's say you start earning, I don't know, maybe driving for Uber. Actually, I was reading, I think it was Inc. magazine. There was an article kind of describing what can you potentially earn doing all of these, side hustles job. It's either driving an Uber or Lyft or delivering groceries. There was a couple of other ones, walking dogs, right? There's all kinds of stuff. And so it's, you know, if you are putting enough effort into it, I think $500, I think it was a little under $500, but I'm going to use that because it's easy to calculate. So if you're earning $500 a week, right, and your basic lifestyle is still being paid for through the job that you currently have. So think about what happens with that $500, right? And ideally, I'd like you to invest it. And so if you think about this, $500, let's not worry about the taxes and all that stuff. Let's just say $500 net. Think about this. If you had a goal to start a business and you started working on generating, right, and saving up for this capital, right, through the side hustles, in about a year, you can accumulate $25,000, right, at $500 a week. Now, it may seem like something insignificant and long to do. 1 year is not a very long time. Now, granted, you can make 10 grand a week. That's just fantastic, right? But even just to have your mind shift a little bit and think in terms of, okay, I can do something on the side and it does not interfere with my family time, kids time, right? And all the other commitments you have. But I want you to think a little bit more globally than just be focused on like, okay, hi Mitch, thanks for watching and hopping on. It's like, okay, I just got to focus on this. This is all I have, no other options. So in about a year, you're going to have a chunk of capital accumulated, right? That you can do a lot more with. Maybe you could start that business that you were planning and never had, you know, the courage to do, or maybe you wanted to invest in real estate. I'm not sure what the goals are, but the idea of how you approach the concept of saving to invest is, the possibilities are endless. You just have to be a little bit more creative, and maybe not even that. You just have to be willing to do it. So I challenge you, right, as we talk about this today in terms of how our finances, right, even though there are these core principles, right, that we advocate for and we want our clients to be good with, and you know, same thing for you guys or my audience, but there are new things and new tricks that could be used, right, the goal is really for you to get faster to wherever it is you're going, your targets and your goals. So if you can tap your energy into some of these ideas, I can only imagine where you can be, right? And it is really up to you, because again, the world is changing quick, and there's going to be ideas such as Bitcoin, as what Dwayne was asking, right? There's all our interesting and sexy, as I call them, ideas in terms of investing. But you've got to have money first. You've got to have income first. And so how can you do that and still have everything else in your life, right? In your financial life aligned. So that's my challenge for you today. Think about these. Let me know what questions you have, and share your money wins, right? Let me know. I am curious to see hi Lindsay. I'm curious to see what has been good. You've got to give yourself sort of a pat on the back, because there are good things in your life that are happening. You just have to understand and realize them. That's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next Wednesday for yet another money date. But in the meantime, don't forget, you've got to stay on the top. And these basic things, once you put them in motion, they're going to be pretty seamless to track. And pretty soon, right? Money date, let's see, I started doing these in June. So we have June, July, August, September, October. So almost 6 months. And if you've been following this for a while, there should have been some significant changes in terms of how you approach your finances. So if it hasn't, you just joining, awesome to have you. Hi, Nikita. Thanks for hopping on. Awesome to have you here. Go back and watch some of the old episodes, or go back and watch this from the replay, and let me know what questions you have. I'll see you guys next week. Take care.